In the world Angie was born into, survival wasn't a guarantee. It wasn't a soft world where food and shelter came easily. It was a cold, unforgiving place where the streets were filled with danger and hope seemed like a distant dream. Angie, a tiny cat, found herself in the heart of the city, alone, vulnerable, and left to figure things out on her own. The world didn't care about her. It was a place where you had to fend for yourself, no matter how small you were. Every day was a struggle, and Angie quickly learned the harsh realities of life. The streets were filled with sharp corners and darker shadows. Food didn't come easily, and safety was a luxury she didn't always have. But even in the bleakest of times, Angie showed an incredible will to survive. She scurried through alleyways and under parked cars, seeking any shelter she could find. And every day, even when the cold bit at her skin and hunger gnawed at her stomach, Angie kept going. She kept fighting. She didn't have a family to protect her. She didn't have a warm place to sleep. But what she did have was an unshakable will to live. Each day, she found a way to keep going, even when everything around her said it was hopeless. Angie was learning a lesson she didn't know she needed, that survival isn't just about body strength. It's about heart. The strength of your spirit can carry you further than you think, even when everything else seems broken. Everything can change in an instant. Angie's life, already tested in so many ways, was about to face its biggest challenge yet. One cold evening, while the snow began to fall like a blanket over the city, Angie made a dangerous decision. She ventured too close to the street. Before she could even react, a car came rushing toward her. The screech of tires was the only sound Angie heard before the impact. The force of the hit threw her small body to the side. Everything spun. The pain was sharp, immediate, and overwhelming. In that moment, Angie could have surrendered. She could have let the pain take over, let the darkness consume her. But that's not what Angie did. Her body was broken, but her spirit wasn't. Even in the face of agony, Angie fought. She crawled, inch by painful inch, dragging her body away from the road, away from the danger. Her body was battered, her vision blurred with pain, but she wasn't ready to give up. She wasn't ready to leave this world, not like this. Each move felt like an impossible task, but Angie kept pushing forward. Every tiny victory, every inch she crawled, was a testament to her strength, to her refusal to let life's harshness break her completely. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, life had a surprise for Angie. She found herself in an old barn, away from the noise, away from the chaos. It wasn't much, but it was shelter. It was warmth. And in that moment, Angie couldn't have known that this place would change everything for her. There, amid the straw and the silence of the barn, Angie collapsed. Her body was battered, and the pain was unbearable. She had nowhere to go. She had no strength left. But the universe wasn't done with her just yet. A woman named Sarah walked into the barn that evening. She had come to check on her animals, unaware of the small, broken cat that would soon cross her path. The moment Sarah stepped inside, she heard a faint, desperate meow. Without hesitation, Sarah followed the sound. There she found Angie, weak, bruised, and struggling to breathe. Without a second thought, Sarah picked her up, cradling her gently in her arms. She knew that this little cat needed help, and she wasn't about to let her suffer alone. Sarah didn't know how long Angie had been out there, or how much damage had been done, but she did know this. Angie wasn't just another stray. She was a soul in need of saving. And in that moment, Sarah became her lifeline. She rushed Angie to the vet, where doctors did everything they could to repair the damage, both physical and emotional. What started as a simple act of kindness was about to set Angie on a path she could never have imagined. In Sarah's arms, Angie was no longer alone. She was loved, she was cared for, and for the first time in a long time, Angie felt something she hadn't felt in a very long time: hope. The road to recovery is never easy. And for Angie, it wasn't just about physical healing, it was about learning to trust again. Her body was broken, but it wasn't just the body that needed fixing. Her heart was bruised too. For so long, Angie had lived on her own, always in survival mode, always watching out for herself. She had been hurt before. By the streets, by the world, by those who turned their backs on her. Would Sarah be different? Would Sarah leave her too, when things got tough? At first, Angie was cautious. Every time Sarah reached out, Angie flinched. She was scared. She didn't know if she could trust again, but Sarah was patient. She never pushed. She gave Angie the space she needed to heal, to rebuild the trust she had lost. And slowly, things began to change. Angie started to realize that Sarah wasn't like the others. She wasn't going anywhere. She wasn't going to leave Angie behind. Little by little, Angie allowed herself to believe in the kindness she was being shown. Every meal Sarah prepared, every gentle stroke, every soft word she spoke, it all helped Angie heal not just her body, but her spirit. In time, Angie began to understand that trust could be rebuilt. She didn't have to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders anymore. Sarah was there to help her carry it, to share it. And in this new, safe world, Angie began to heal. Angie's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. It wasn't just about healing from the accident, it was about transforming into someone new, someone full of life, full of joy. As the days passed, Angie grew stronger. Her once battered body regained its vitality. Her fur, once matted and dirty, began to shine. Her eyes, once clouded with fear and pain, sparkled with curiosity and wonder. But it wasn't just her body that was healing. Angie's soul was healing too. She had gone from being a broken cat on the streets, fighting just to survive, to becoming a playful, vibrant creature, full of energy and life. She chased after toys, leaped onto windowsills, and spent long hours lounging in the sun. For the first time in a long time, Angie wasn't just surviving. She was living, and that was something more beautiful than anything she had ever known. With every new discovery, every new adventure, Angie realized that the world was full of possibilities. She wasn't the same cat who had struggled to survive in the streets. She had learned that survival wasn't the end of the journey. It was just the beginning. As the days turned into weeks, Angie's bond with Sarah deepened in ways neither of them had expected. It wasn't just about feeding her or giving her a place to sleep anymore. It became something more, something unspoken. An understanding between two souls that had found each other in the most unlikely of places. At night, when the house was quiet, Sarah would often find Angie curled up next to her, her little body warm against Sarah's side. The rhythm of Angie's breathing, steady and calm, was a reminder of how far they had both come. In those moments, Sarah realized that this wasn't just about saving a cat. It was about healing together. And for Angie, Sarah's touch became more than just a sign of care. It was safety. It was reassurance that the world she had feared so much wasn't as scary as she once thought. Every gentle stroke from Sarah's hand sent waves of comfort through Angie's fragile body. It was as though she could finally rest, knowing that she was no longer alone in the world. The transformation was gradual, but undeniable. Angie began to let her guard down. She no longer looked over her shoulder, no longer waited for the next hit of pain. Instead, she started to believe in the possibility of peace, in the possibility of love. Sarah, too, had changed. She had learned to be patient, to give without expecting anything in return. She had learned that the most profound connections don't always need words. They are built on trust, understanding, and shared moments. And in these quiet moments with Angie, Sarah had found a peace she hadn't even realized she needed. Angie's journey wasn't just about survival, it was about growth. She had gone from a frightened, broken cat, afraid to trust anyone, to a creature learning the true meaning of resilience. Her path wasn't linear. It wasn't easy. But every step, every scrape, and every fall taught her something invaluable. She learned that survival wasn't always about being strong. Sometimes it was about knowing when to surrender, when to lean into the care of someone else. Angie had spent so much of her life alone, fighting against the odds. But Sarah showed her that it was okay to lean on someone, to trust someone enough to let them help carry the weight of the world. And Angie became a teacher too, though not in the way she ever expected. Through her strength, Sarah learned what true resilience looked like. It wasn't about being invincible. It was about getting up after each fall, dusting yourself off, and continuing forward. Angie showed Sarah that resilience is often found in the quietest moments, the moments when you think you've had enough, but find the strength to keep going. The bond between them grew stronger as Sarah learned that love, especially unconditional love, isn't always perfect. It doesn't come with strings attached or expectations. Sometimes, love is simply showing up when someone needs it most. And in the end, it wasn't just Angie who had healed. Sarah had healed too. The two of them had grown together, learning from one another, sharing their strengths, and becoming something more than they had ever been before. With each passing day, Angie's transformation continued. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was thriving. Her once tired eyes now sparkled with curiosity, her fur began to shine, and her spirit was filled with playful energy. She was becoming the cat she had always been meant to be, and it was all thanks to the love and care Sarah had shown her. But Angie wasn't just content to stay in the background. She wanted to live life fully, to explore the world around her, to find joy in the simplest of things. She chased after toy mice with a vigor that surprised everyone, pounced on stray pieces of string with the enthusiasm of a kitten, and even began to playfully nudge Sarah's hand when she wanted attention. For Sarah, watching Angie rediscover her playful spirit was like watching a miracle unfold. It reminded her of the importance of finding joy, even after hardship. After all, Angie had come from a place of suffering. And now, here she was, dancing in the sunlight, her spirit light and free. The world Angie had once feared was now her playground. Every corner of the house was a new discovery, every window a new view of the world outside. And Angie reveled in it all. For the first time she could see the world for what it truly was. Full of opportunities, full of love, full of promise. And for Sarah, it was a lesson in the beauty of second chances. She had seen Angie's transformation from the start. From the broken, fearful little cat who had only known pain to the vibrant, curious creature she was becoming. It reminded Sarah that everyone, no matter their past, has the capacity to change, to heal, and to start again. Angie's recovery wasn't just about getting back to normal. It was about creating a new future. A future full of possibilities, full of love, and full of the kind of hope that only comes when you've seen the darkest days and still found the courage to rise. Her journey wasn't just an inspiration for Sarah, it was an inspiration for everyone who came into contact with her story. Angie had shown them all that no matter how bad things get, no matter how broken we feel, there's always a chance for something better. There's always a way to rebuild, to heal, to find peace. As Angie grew stronger, she became more and more confident in herself. She interacted with the other animals in Sarah's care, showing them kindness, playfulness, and the gentle nature she had rediscovered. She had gone from being alone in a harsh world to becoming part of a family, one that loved her, cared for her, and gave her a future full of promise. But Angie's story is one that resonates far beyond just her. It's a reminder that we all have the strength to overcome our struggles, no matter how insurmountable they may seem. Just like Angie, we all have the capacity to rise above our circumstances, to grow from our pain, and to find hope, even in the darkest moments. And perhaps the greatest lesson Angie taught was this: survival isn't the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. The real work, the real beauty, comes in the moments after we rise, when we begin to live. So, what about you? After everything Angie has been through, after all she's overcome, how will you choose to move forward in your own life? Will you allow the hardships to define you, or will you use them as the fuel to create a new beginning? Angie's story isn't just about a cat, it's about all of us. It's a story of resilience, of healing, and of finding hope in the unlikeliest of places. And just like Angie, you have the power to rewrite your own story. So, what will your story look like? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Let's support each other on this journey of healing, growth, and love. Remember, just like Angie, your best days are ahead of you. It's time to start living again. Let's rise together.